Hello again, everyone. I know that everybody's enjoying lunch and enjoying networking and talking, but we gave you a little time to actually have some lunch and talk, and now we are up here to talk to you. Now that I'm not the only person, the only thing keeping 1,000 people from eating, I feel a little more comfortable helping us dive right into the annual convention. So first things first, let's talk about cell phones. I'm not going to ask you to turn them off. Instead, I'm going to ask you to make them work for us. While you're here, please be sure to share your experience using the convention hashtag #AFTACON on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And in the program, you'll find hashtags for each breakout and plenary this year. We're also live streaming all of our keynote sessions this year, as well as, for the first time, 5 of our breakout sessions. So make sure to tell all your friends who couldn't join us here in Nashville. We are live streaming through our YouTube channel at youtube.com, Americans for the Arts. Check the program for which breakouts will be live streamed. Another housekeeping note, the Arts Circuit, our set of quick, interactive arts activities, is back again this year, and I encourage you to check it out in Center Stage. The opportunity is there to share a moment when you've seen arts reinvent the world and a word map of skills that all arts professionals need. So now, rev up the brains post-lunch with a quick poll. Raise your hand when you hear something that rings true to you. I think that we need less political support for art in America. How many hands do I? No. Okay. I think that we are doing okay with the amount of political support for art in America. Nobody. Great. And finally, option 3. I think we need more political support for the arts in America. Okay, keep them up. Look around. That's everybody. That's our power. That's our future. Now, would you put your hand up if you're already one of the 66,000 members of the Americans for the Arts Action Fund? Okay, that's most of you. That's great. Our goal is to get 1 million people to be members of that Action Fund. So thank you to those of you who have your hands up. Everyone else can join for free at AmericansForTheArtsActionFund.org and get others to do it. By the time we hit the elections in 2.5 years, if we are 1 million strong, we will be very powerful. When we act together, we are the strongest. Nowhere recently is this more clear than in Tucson, Arizona, where the city manager earlier this year proposed a 75% cut in funding to the Tucson Pima Arts Council. And I know Roberta Bedoya is here and others from Tucson. Thanks to the combined action from the Tucson Pima Arts Council and Americans for the Arts and the statewide advocacy organization there, over 6,800 urgent emails were sent to the mayor, to the city manager, to the city clerk, and to 6 city council members. We, for the first time, are able to do this at the local level in addition to the state and federal level. This is a number that was previously unheard of in Tucson local politics. Through the Arts Action Fund, we also organized the successful petition drive that the Tucson Pima Arts Council was able to deliver to the City Council at one of their public meetings. The direct result? The city manager reversed his position and drastically reduced the proposed budget cut, taking only as much as was allotted to other city departments. That is precisely why the Arts Action Fund was created. It's situations like this, federal, state, local, when arts funding is threatened, that we can work and working together make a difference. And I urge all of you who aren't already members to sign up with Samantha Steelman for free out at Center Stage. Now, what I'm here to talk to you about for the next few minutes is the state of the arts. And when I say few, I actually mean a long time, apparently. But I'm here to talk to you about the state of the arts. And when I say those words, it's like that the arts are a patient, and you're coming to me arms crossed and anxious, saying, how are the arts faring? And if I was a doctor and you asked me how the arts were faring, I would give you an easy answer. And the answer is better. Not fabulous, not bad, better. Yes, the arts are doing much better, though, across the board. I'll be honest, though, that analogy feels really off because the arts aren't a patient, and they certainly aren't sick. In fact, we're in this room, and together we know that the actual arts are in reverse. They are, instead of the patient, they are the doctor, they are the nurse, they are the part of our community that helps heal the rest of the community. The arts address societal issues with finesse and creativity. The arts spur our local and national economics. The arts make us healthier individuals, families, and communities. The arts help us to learn. So I said that the arts are doing better. But what does better mean? Well, because of your day-to-day advocacy work and the advocacy of passionate supporters from across the country, over 40 state arts agencies have seen increases in state funding this past year. Thank you to all the state arts advocacy organizations that are here with us. In Florida, due to the hard work from the Florida Cultural Alliance and others, the state legislature has increased arts funding by over 350%. In Maryland, the governor increased the Arts Council's allocation by about $800,000. Maryland. And in Michigan, Republican Governor Rick Snyder has upped the State Arts Council's budget allocation by 400% in the 4 years he's been in office. I call that better, and I'm happy to say that increasingly from Capitol Hill to your local town hall, the idea that the arts can positively impact society's most pressing issues is gaining a lot of momentum. A 2013 report from the National League of Cities boils down the most pressing issues for local governments. And local government money is about $3 billion a year annually injected into the cultural budgets of the arts in America. What do they care about? Healthy economic activity at the top of the list, once again. Infrastructure, the changing infrastructure of American communities. Community development, public safety, environmental stability, job training, housing stability, and the social safety net, and education. That's great news for all of us here in this room because the arts can help address challenges in every single one of those areas. It's a roadmap for how we can turn around votes and turn around leadership to help support the arts. And support the arts by business, support in the arts by business is better too. In a study this year by the Committee to Encourage Corporate Philanthropy, who we work with very closely, we saw a slight increase in dedicated funding to the arts, ending a 4-year decline. And our own Business Committee for the Arts National Survey of Support for the Arts saw an increase in corporate arts funding from 2009 to 2012 when focusing especially on small and mid-sized companies. In a word, better again. And then maybe it's not the state of the arts we should be addressing today at all. Maybe it's instead the state of our communities, our regions, and our country. How are we doing? How do the arts impact us? You might remember that according to our 2012 Arts and Economic Prosperity Study, the nonprofit arts industry alone generates $135 billion in economic activity every year, supporting 4.1 million jobs every year in the United States and generating $22 billion in government revenue. Those are huge numbers. Those numbers are bigger than any legislator or any business leader actually knows or thinks. And so it's impactful, and you can repeat it as many times as possible because amazingly it's new information, even though people might have heard it 2 months ago. But a new report this year from the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis showed that arts and culture activity in the U.S. produces 3.25% of the nation's economy, which is of gross domestic product, which is larger than the entire United States travel and tourism sector. This is fascinating to me because I'm on the United States Travel and Tourism Advisory Board under the Secretary of Commerce. And I learned about this fact as I was walking into a Travel and Tourism Advisory Board meeting with Commerce Secretary Penny Pritzker and had to give a report. And let's just say I wasn't shy about sharing this information with the travel and tourism officials in the meeting. The fact is that nobody in the room thought that this thing, the arts, which I was trying to say was an important part of the travel industry, and it is, was even bigger than the travel industry itself, which itself is a huge focus of the administration right now, and a huge part of local economies all across America. We know that 60% of the income of arts organizations comes from earned income, and we know a third of that comes from out of town. That's tourism, and this makes a difference for them to know the power of the arts. In Nashville alone, there are 2,621 arts-related businesses, according to our Creative Industries report. They employ over 13,000 people and account for 6.7% of the total businesses in Nashville, well above the national average. In the last year, our field has continued to focus on the role of the arts and culture in placemaking and community development. Major issues from the National Endowment for the Arts, from Art Place America, from the Kresge Foundation, and others have funneled over $25 million towards creative placemaking initiatives in the past year, many of them in partnership with you. And we estimate that there has been another 70 million of this kind of philanthropic giving since January of 2013. So place community is critically important. We want to keep that forefront in the minds of the funding community and governments across our country. To provide support for those efforts, our own Animating Democracy initiative has recently published a series of trend papers and funder profiles and a series of tools and trainings specifically to assist artists and cultural leaders in assessing and reporting their social impact. And the arts are bettering the lives of other groups in our country. There are over 22 million military veterans living in the United States. There are more programs than ever to benefit these strong and courageous men and women. And Americans for the Arts is pleased to be partnering with organizations ranging from the Veterans Administration and the Walter Reed Military Medical Center to the National Endowment for the Arts and PBS and others to make art and art therapy more accessible in communities across the United States and to help you at the local level partner with those communities in a better and stronger way. Late last year, we published a white paper on the role of the arts in healing and well-being across the military continuum that lays out an action plan for deepening the access to and the impact of the arts on both our active servicemen and women and our veterans, to whom we are all eternally grateful. We believe that across the spectrum, the arts make for healthier, more engaged, and more resilient human beings. Whether the military, whether community, whether children, the arts help us see and grow into better selves, into our better selves. And it is precisely because of the proven positive impact on the mental and emotional development and welfare of children and other students, regardless of age, that Americans for the Arts and so many of you are advocating for one other big issue, further integration of art into education. I want to thank all of the people here from the arts education community and who were at the arts education pre-conference. Just recently, at the launch of the second phase of the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities, the Turnaround Arts program, President Obama spoke about the power of the arts. And here's what he said at the White House just a couple of weeks ago.
The arts are central to who we are as a people, and they are central to the success of our kids. This is not an afterthought. This is not something you do because it's kind of nice to do. It is necessary for these young people to succeed that we promote the arts. And I hope that events like this help send a message to school districts and parents and governors and leaders all across this country. You've got to support the arts. It's a priority.
Turnaround Arts is just one piece of the puzzle, but it brings the artist members of the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities, each individually to a different school, to work with that school, and to turn it around. Low-performing schools becoming higher-performing schools. And I'm so pleased that the Turnaround Arts will be rolling out 16 new programs for which Americans for the Arts will continue to be the fiscal manager. it includes a major initiative in California that is being headed up by our Arts Education Award winner, who you'll meet a little bit later, Melissa Ferruzzi-Shriver. At Americans for the Arts, we're expanding our work to include a unified effort on the local, state, and national fronts of arts education advocacy. This fall, we'll be launching the Arts Education State Policy Pilot Project in 10 states across the country. Our focus is at the state level because things have been grinding to a halt at the federal level. So the states is where we think the change can happen. Through this project, we'll be helping your state-level leaders take proactive action on arts education policy and funding issues, including implementation of federal mandates or programs that support arts education through policy, resources, through tools, and through field education. One of those policy pursuits will be to support new national arts standards. Earlier this month, I was pleased to represent Americans for the Arts as one of the leadership organizations in the National Coalition for Core Arts Standards at the launch of the new National Core Arts Standards that we did by webinar to 2,000 teachers across the country. I'm proud to say that just as we did while spearheading the last set of standards in 1994, Americans for the Arts will be strongly pushing for the adoption or the adaptation of the standards in all 50 states. It's a series of ideas and really great practices, but local implementation is critical, and local implementation is also customized in our country. And many of us here are also excited about a new initiative at the NEA called the National Arts Education Data Project that will help aggregate data and research about the status of arts education in each state. Great information to have. This initiative will deeply advance our arts education knowledge as a field, making us more agile and adaptive as we together work for change in arts education through you and with you in all 50 states. And the truth is that change is coming rapidly for the arts and for our country. By some counts, 1/3 of the senior leadership of arts nonprofits in the United States will turn over in the next 5 years. That's fascinating. It's a little scary for some of us. But leadership evolution, leadership change, important with things like our Emerging Leaders projects and the training that we do here. And our national demographics related to population are also shifting quickly too. Within 30 years, whites will no longer be over 50% of the population. That's a very dramatic change for our country, and that change is here largely right now. Our rising generations are more diverse, more technologically enabled, more socially and civically engaged, more artistically empowered. And with those changes must come fundamental shifts in how, when, and where the arts are made and consumed. And the role of arts institutions, arts agencies, and artists is increasingly complex in increasingly complex communities. I've been watching a lot of our members here, right here, dealing with running out of meetings and getting on cell phones to deal with a change or a crisis or an issue at home. We're doing it all the time. It doesn't go away. So that the arts can do a better job ushering our country through these fundamental shifts, Americans for the Arts needs your help with 2 new major initiatives: the Local Arts Agency Census and the new Community Visions Initiative. The census will be the largest survey of its kind, a collaborative project with the National Endowment for the Arts. It will be sent to over 4,800 local arts agencies throughout the United States and will provide the most comprehensive portrait ever done of the structures and of the programs and the challenges and the makeup and the changes of a field that has grown to nearly 5,000 organizations in the last 60 years. When you get the survey, and my communications team assures me that someone in your organization will indeed get the survey, please take the time to fill it out. This effort to tell us who we are as a field and to provide direction on where we need to go and who we are to the partners that we need to advance is crucial to the ongoing relevance of us all. We're working with the Office of Management and Budget and the NEA to finalize the survey and the timeline, and we hope to be sending it to you later this year or in early 2015. At around the same time that we launch the census, we will be working with all of you on building a national plan to focus the relevancy and impact of local arts agencies, to get it in focus for the current times. We want to help everyone in this room by providing resources and tools that you need today that will help us work smarter, more efficiently, more frugally. This 2-year New Community Visions initiative will include a series of white papers on how technology, funding models, demographics, and other fast-moving issues are challenging the creation and consumption of art. It will also include a series of regional convenings. They're set to happen in 2015 and 16, so think about that, in which we will gather regional agency or agency administrations locally and regionally, artists, community leaders, private sector partners from across the country to brainstorm the future of the arts in local American communities. We'll culminate with the release of a new edition of the book we did some 30 years ago called Community Visions, first published in 1990, a book that we expect will serve as a guidepost for effective and impactful community engagement through the arts in the next decade. At Americans for the Arts, we try to look at the changes in society with a long lens. Through that telescope, right now we're seeing a number of big challenges, some I've mentioned already, but also a great many opportunities. The world is transforming, and for the arts to help us find our better selves in this world, we must transform too. The arts are now more than ever a beautiful bridge between different parts of our society. The arts heal, the arts teach, the arts empower, the arts inspire, the arts transform, the arts make us better. For years, when asked what we do at Americans for the Arts, our staff would say, we work for a world where all of the arts are for all of the people. Like all of you, we get up every morning and do our job because we understand that the arts are a valuable and necessary component of a fulfilled life. Art is and always will be deeply relevant and deeply valuable to every single person in this country. And I'd just take a moment to thank both the staff and the board of Americans for the Arts for helping us, helping me, helping all of you with this work. And I'd love them all to stand if they wouldn't mind, staff and board. Together, all of us can make that case and help our fellow citizens celebrate the vibrancy of collective creativity now and in the future. The state of the arts, well, that is that the arts are doing better. Yes, certainly true. But the arts continue to make our country so much better too. And that's a secret. We need to make that less of a secret. Making us our better selves, better neighbors, better collaborators, better citizens, better students, and better people. Thank you for taking up the cause of the arts and for joining us here in Nashville. I would like to invite Abel Lopez to come to the stage, and you are here all helping us lead this field forward, and for that we're grateful. And among you, nominated by your peers, are 6 individuals who will now celebrate with our annual Americans for the Arts Leadership Awards. Abel Lopez is the chairman of the Americans for the Arts Board of Directors. And as he has arrived here, I want to take a moment to congratulate all of the local arts agencies and other arts-related organizations who received grants this year from the National Endowment for the Arts, and to recognize the hard work of the NEA staff. We actually are lucky to have 6 members of the NEA here today. Could all of you stand and be recognized? I'm going to turn things over to Abel, but let me just say that he is one of the great arts leaders in America. I think he holds the record for being on boards of directors in the United States of national and regional and local arts organizations. And if you walk to any part of Washington, D.C., you will see the transformation that his work as former chair of the D.C. Arts Commission, that his work led to through the arts in transforming blighted parts of our community to thriving arts centers today. Abel Lopez.
Thank you, Bob. Before we begin the awards, I would like to acknowledge the incredible work and commitment of the Board of Directors of Americans for the Arts. It is a privilege to serve as the chairman of the board, and so I'm going to ask them if they will stand so we can acknowledge and recognize them as well. The board members who are present. I would also like to recognize the members of our field leadership councils. Could the members of our State Arts Action Network Council, the Arts Education Council, the Public Art Network Council, the Emerging Leaders Council, the Private Sector Council, and our state captains stand and be applauded for their time and dedication to the work of Americans for the Arts. And now on to the awards. Bob?
So we're going to try to do this together. The Americans for the Arts Leadership Awards are presented each year in conjunction with this convention to recognize the achievements of individuals, organizations, or programs committed to enriching their communities through the arts. And I think Abel is going to present the first award.
Yes, it's my pleasure to present the Arts Education Award, which recognizes transformational leadership in arts education through strategic planning, programming, and partnerships to achieve community goals. The 2014 Arts Education Award goes to Melissa Ferruzzi Shriver, Executive Director of Turnaround Arts California and former Chair of the California Arts Council. Ms. Shriver is receiving the award for her continued leadership at the local, state, and federal level as an advocate for arts education. And now leading Turnaround Arts California, she continues to pave the way for equitable access to arts education for all of California's students. On behalf of the Americans for the Arts Board of Directors and the Arts Education Network, I am pleased to invite Ms. Shriver to come forward and accept the 2014 Arts Education Award. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your work. You can take a photograph.
We're all in the middle?
Yeah.
I'm going to take your work out and make it clear.
Okay, thank you.
And you'll get to hear a little bit more from Lisa tomorrow, I think, as one of our plenary panelists. The Aline Valkanis State Arts Advocacy Award recognizes an individual at the state level whose arts advocacy efforts have dramatically affected the political landscape. I'm very happy to present the 2014 Aline Valkanis Award to Donna Collins, newly executive director, or currently executive director of the Ohio Citizens for the Arts and the Ohio Alliance for Arts Education, and incoming director of the State Arts Agency in Ohio. Donna Collins.
I'm pleased now to present the Michael Newton Award, which is given each year to honor an individual for innovative development of private sector partnerships for the arts and/or long-term achievement in effective and creative fundraising techniques. This year's Michael Newton Award goes to Jim Clark, the Executive Director of LexArts, Greater Lexington, Kentucky's cultural development, advocacy, and fundraising organization. In addition to empowering Kentucky's LexArts for the past 12 years, as a local catalyst for creating progressive and innovative community development inspired by the arts, Mr. Clark has brought national attention to Lexington by raising approximately $20 million for the arts since 1988, engaging and commissioning world-class public artists, and working to make the value of the arts demonstrably clear to community, business, and political leaders. It is my honor, on behalf of the Americans for the Arts Board of Directors and the Private Sector Network, to invite Mr. Clark to come forward and accept the 2014 Michael Newton Award. Congratulations.
We give and we take away. The the awards will be shipped to people, though. Yeah. So, just like with Donna Collins, she made the arts and culture in Ohio a political force to be respected and exemplifies the highest standards of excellence for state arts advocates and state arts education. But public art is a critical and important part of our field, and each year the Public Art Network Award is given to recognize an individual or organization that demonstrates innovative contributions and exemplary commitment to the field of public art. This year, the Public Art Network has selected an individual who might also be described as an institution, the fantastic Seattle-based public artist Nori Sato, who has created public art pieces across the country in a career spanning over 25 years. Nori Sato is innovative, creative, works with commitment, and leads through service. As a professional artist in the public art field for over 4 decades, Ms. Sato has enriched cultural life through her work and as an arts activist. She represents artists as professionals, thinkers, diligent workers, and reliable participants in civic life, and as creative and engaged partners in that cultural life. On behalf of the Americans for the Arts Board of Directors and the Public Art Network, I am pleased to invite Nori Sato to come forward and accept the 2014 Public Art Network Award.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you.
No, I'm not sure if Tim is here.
No, he's not, I don't think. To close out the Leadership Awards, we now have 2 awards that celebrate an emerging and established leader in our field. The American Express Emerging Leaders Award is given each year to a visionary new or young arts leader who demonstrates an ability to engage and impact his or her community. Thanks to the generous underwriting of the Emerging Leader Award by the American Express Foundation, this award also comes with a check for the winner. The 2014 American Express Emerging Leader Award goes to Chris Appleton, Executive Director of Wander Root, an Atlanta-based arts service organization with a mission to unite artists and community to inspire positive social change. Over the past 6 years, Mr. Appleton has made a tangible difference as a voice and advocate for the arts and community engagement in Atlanta. His work supports working artists while addressing issues of social justice, environmental justice, health and youth development through community-based cultural organizing. On behalf of the American Express Foundation, the Americans for the Arts Board of Directors, and the Emerging Leaders Network, I am pleased to invite Mr. Appleton to come forward and accept the 2014 American Express Emerging Leader Award. Congratulations. Here's your award, and here's your check.
So we took the award back, but not the check. So that's important. I want to congratulate Chris, and I want to say a special thanks to our board member, Tim McClyman from American Express, CEO of the American Express Foundation, who is winging his way here but not here yet and wanted to be up here to personally say congratulations. We first launched the Emerging Leaders Program 15 years ago, and it is always so gratifying to celebrate a new emerging voice in the field. The final leadership award is the Selena Roberts Autumn Award, which is given each year to recognize an individual working in arts management who has made a meaningful contribution to his or her local community and who exemplifies extraordinary leadership qualities. I'm extremely happy to present the 2014 Autumn Award to Robert Bush. Robert Bush has demonstrated extraordinary leadership qualities in all aspects of his work with local arts agencies, both at the local and the national levels. As CEO of the Arts and Science Council in Charlotte, he has successfully infused the arts into many important community initiatives. He is a nationally recognized expert in fundraising, organizational development, and strategic planning for arts organization, and has, in his 14 years in different capacities with the Arts and Science Council, brought all of that expertise to bear. So on behalf of the Americans for the Arts Board of Directors and the National Endowment for the Arts in this case, and to close out this year's Leadership Awards, I am really pleased to invite Robert Bush to come forward and accept the 2014 Selena Roberts Autumn Award.
There you go. Congratulations. What a pleasure. You're the honoree. Well deserved. Well deserved. I'll take this one.
I almost took that check back. So he's that generous of a, no. I want to say congratulations to all of the recipients of this year's Leadership Awards. It really demonstrates the hard work that happens in all of your communities all across the country. And I hope that you will all read the blog posts by each of our award winners that we've posted on ArtsBlog, and that those of you who are members will make sure to congratulate them during the meet and greet at the members' reception tomorrow evening. Thank you, Abel. There you are. Thank you, Abel, for your continued leadership here. I'm pleased now to invite to the stage Jennifer Cole, the Executive Director of the Metro Nashville Arts Commission. Metro Arts, as they are known, has been an exemplary partner in making this year's convention possible, and I want to thank Jen and her team for their extraordinary job as local host. A lot of energy, a lot of creativity, a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer Cole.
Welcome to Nashville. Are you having a good time? I hope you're enjoying your visit so far. I hear the rain's headed out all the way down to Bonnaroo, and we're not going to do that. So in the last 24 hours, I've heard words like amazing, exciting, surprising, and I want to move here. And on behalf of the mayor, I think that's a great idea. Our team has been planning your arrival for more than a year, working with the Americans for the Arts team, who are fantastic. And we are so happy to share our city with you. I'd like to take a moment and recognize the more than 120 staff members, volunteers, host committee members, and community partners who've participated to make this convention happen at the local level. If you are any one of those people, do a hand wave or a fist bump for me right now. All right. Collaboration is one of the key things that makes our arts community and this city really work. We like to say that it all starts with a song, and for those of you who've ever tried to do that, you know that the process of writing, creating, producing a song is actually one that's completely full of partnerships. You'll see that in our museums, in our studios, in our maker scene, and in every interaction you have with an artist who lives and works here in Nashville, Tennessee. I hope that in the next few days, you'll come away with a world-class information from this convention, but also a better understanding of the tone and texture of the Nashville arts community and what makes it thrive. To make that easier, we're giving you a sneak peek of our new mobile cultural app. We've loaded it with public art and things really specific, walking tours, dine around information, and you can download that to your phone by going to artsnashville.toursphere.com. And it is a great thing for you and hopefully a great tool along with the convention app that will help you sort of make your way around our fantastic town. Don't forget to sign up for to see more of our local artists. Don't forget to sign up for our art venture, where we have over 9 curated tours of some of the best and brightest things that you've never known about Nashville, like that we have the largest municipal puppet collection in the world, or that we have a fully functioning jazz cave, or that we have a world-class contemporary art center where Philip Glass will play just next week. I think that you'll be surprised by this city. I hope we surprise you and excite you and continue to do that. make way to Center Stage, where we have a pop-up shop powered by Emma and facilitated with several dozen makers, including Batch Nashville and Porter Flea, which is an Etsy's flea type market where you can actually buy and buy take-home presents for your friends and family by local artists right here from Nashville. And don't forget to stop by the First Tennessee Arts Interactive booth. We are proud of the artists that live here, and we really want you to know them and to be a part of your experience here. One of the key things that makes this city vibrant is the way our public and private sectors work together to support our creative life. From the investments in arts education to public art to artist housing, our top leader really has reimagined our city with creativity at its core. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our mayor and my mayor, Mayor Karl Dean.
Well, thank you, Jen, for that very kind introduction, and let me welcome you to Nashville. We're thrilled that you're here. Nashville is a city where hospitality is an important part of who we are, but also an important part of our economy, so we are pleased and thankful that you selected our city. If there's anything we can do to make your stay here better, please don't hesitate to let us know, and we'll do that. And I really say this from the bottom of my heart, that I hope while you're here in Nashville, you spend a lot of money. The council's voting on the budget next week, and so anything you can do to help would be appreciated. And actually, this group, I get the sense from watching you in the hallway here that you actually are going to spend some money, so that's good. And I want to compliment Bob for what he's done in preparing for this convention here in Nashville. He had the foresight to sign a contract with the Omni when this hotel was under construction, and for that I thank him, and I thank him for his confidence in our city and our arts community. I think you probably will notice that hotel rooms in this city are now hard to come by. You've landed here between the CMA Music Festival in Bonnaroo. We have the Pride Festival and the Wine and Food Festival going on this weekend, too. Nashville is booming in large part because of artists and creative talent that drive not only our culture but our economy. I'm a big believer in the theory that the creative class idea, that creative people really energize a city. And the thing that I think about constantly is that every day somewhere someone wakes up and says, I'm going to move to Nashville to be a songwriter, I'm going to move to Nashville to be an artist, I'm going to move to Nashville to produce a music or perform on a live. And those people come to our city, and what they bring with them is their capital, which is their talent. And that talent to create, whether it's visual arts or whether it's music, gives our city a special edge. Gives our city, I think, this sense of confidence and this sense of growth that is infectious. And so arts have been vitally important to our city. In the last few years, we've made support of the creative community a priority, particularly in the music area. We created the Music City Music Council, which is comprised of music industry executives and business leaders who have a connection to the music industry. And we've also worked on a program called Music Makes Us, a program in our public school system to change the way that we teach music and to broaden what we can offer our students. We have championed the Ryman Artist Housing Project, which is right near downtown up here on the hill overlooking the river. And that is for all artists, visual artists, musicians, quilt makers. Everybody is welcome there. It's affordable housing. And we've made an investment in the Fifth Avenue of the Arts, which hopefully you'll see. Tonight, you'll be able to experience our new expanded Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum, which is a testament to how public and the private sector can work together to build a hotel, expand a cultural facility, and drive economic growth in a city. Metro Arts, under Jen's leadership, has been a tireless advocate for the power of artists and arts organizations in our city. I hope you'll spend time soaking in the lights of Lower Broadway. I don't know whether it's the honky or the tonky, but there is something happening there, because that's why folks come to Nashville. And I really believe the reason is it is one of the most genuine and authentic music corridors in the country. and you'll have a great time there, I guarantee it. I hope that you have a chance to see a whole series of arts that are in our city, and I know you're going to love the city as much as I do. It's now my pleasure to introduce Nashville's own multi-platinum selling singer, songwriter, producer, Ben Folds. Since moving to Nashville to pursue a music career, Ben has made this city his home, creating music here, rescuing and restoring the legendary RCA Studio A, which he has now made into one of the premier commercial studios in the world. He's been very active in community service, serving on the board of the Nashville Symphony, raising money to repair our beloved Schermerhorn Symphony Center after the devastation of the 2010 flood, volunteering to raise awareness for both arts education and music education, and supporting the work of music therapists across the nation. As an artist, Ben first found success as a frontman for the indie rock band Ben Folds 5, and then success as a solo artist. He has written, recorded, and performed countless pop hits, produced and collaborated with other famous artists, writing for film and TV, and most recently, he even composed a concerto for piano and orchestra that he has been performing to sell-out audiences. His concerto premiere set a new record for 3 consecutive sold-out live shows at the Schermerhorn this past March. Ben has been a great friend and outspoken advocate for the arts in Nashville, and we are proud to have him here as a citizen, so please join me in welcoming Ben Folds.
Thank you, Mayor Dean. I'm a rock and roll musician. I wrote my speech right there on a napkin. I'm not genetically given to put on sport jackets and do public speaking, and I have to ask myself, why put myself through that? Part of the reason is, or 3/4, almost all the reason, is to look out at people who are actually in the trenches of saving, perpetuating, and creating what made it possible for me to be here in the first place. And you guys are actually doing it. My job has been to go make eardrums bleed for most of the time. And you know, when I kind of made it in pop music, and I was younger, and all my peers that sort of made it. I mean, in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where I'm from, North Carolina. We were always littering the world with people who were all over the place. There were other rock bands, like in my neighborhood, that sold platinum records. Like, we just lived down the street from guys who were making big records at the time. And I think that before the ego subsided, we probably all thought it's just because we made music, it was just sort of like, you know, F the man and go out and do your thing. But really, we all had a really fantastic framework that we grew up in, that it's easy to take for granted, especially for a commercial pop musician. But when I look back at what I had as a kid, I had incredible public schools with music education. I could pick out which instrument in 5th grade I wanted to play that was up on the wall, and repaired the snare drum and started playing, and that started me off on some success in life, not just in music, but just in general. Up until 5th grade, I was a pain in the ass. I mean, I didn't get good grades, and I didn't necessarily get along with all the kids, and I come from a background which I have to classify as at least lower working class. It's embarrassing to say you're poor when you look around the world, but you could categorize it that way. And I didn't have a lot of confidence. And as soon as I started playing music, now I can see what I learned from that, and I can see how that got me where I was, and how many, it's on the backs of so many people. If it's not for what you do, and whoever was you before I got to be me, I wouldn't be here. And one of the things was understanding that people can work together. Now one of my favorite things is to play with symphony orchestras. And it's one of my big causes is to keep the symphony orchestra, the institution of the symphony orchestra, alive through what has been tough times for the symphony. My usual speech is very short when I play a symphony orchestra tour. And what I usually say to the audience is that we need the symphony orchestra more than they need us, quite honestly. I think we're going to get past the time where we feel as artists and arts advocates that we're asking for a handout. The reason we're going to get past that time is because of organizations like Americans for the Arts, because you need someone making a case for how important it is. It's what makes the world go round. The Obama speech he was making is not far-fetched. When you look at how poorly I was doing before 5th grade and started to play music, how much confidence I got from that, started making friends, understood that people need to work together. When you look at a stage and it's the symphony orchestra, what you're seeing is the only example that I can think of, or the greatest example, artistic expression, symbol of people working together in concert and harmony. And it's something that, you know, politicians who are trying to do their job would like to harness. But unfortunately, they work within a framework that's really, by nature, it's not about that. But human nature is. And human nature is to sing together in harmony and play music and do arts. We are artistic beings. And so, you know, when I look at my peers, for instance, a lot of us, I think, I haven't really taken a big stand on streaming, for instance, and maybe I should, on downloading. I mean, in 2001, I made an album that was the first album that I signed more burned copies of that CD than I did the real record. I ought to be pissed, but I'm not, because I think what happened was probably greed on the part of pop musicians and record labels. We wanted to be famous, and we wanted to be rich. But if you look historically, that's not a very long period of time where, like, someone could become rich and famous as a musician. That's like 50 or 60 years on a blip of humanity. You know, normally that's not been the function of music. You shouldn't have to have a license. You shouldn't have to have a record contract. You shouldn't have to have lights shining on you and a stylist and a publicist and shaking your ass on stage. That's really not necessary to make the world go around and to make music. It's fun, but where the real music happens is exactly in what you all are doing and what you're promoting. That's what music is actually for. Music therapy, I'm big into music therapy. That is what kids that I see these days, and I say kids, they're college students, you know, that's what they're considering now, because the value of a download is, I would estimate, zero. It's nothing. Like what we thought was so valuable 15 years ago was not. The problem with that, I think, systemically, is that we are coming to a panicking conclusion as a society that music is worth nothing. That's why it feels like we're going for handouts when we go say we need funding for something that is culturally, societally so important to make the world go around. It feels like we're asking for something that's not worth anything. Well, it actually is worth, as you know, it's worth so much. And I'm preaching to the choir to say that. You know why. And the reason that I support Americans for the Arts is because they make an amazing, practical case for the value of music. So I can't make an argument for why my song is worth more than 5 cents until we reestablish how valuable music is, and we don't get instruments in the hands of kids who might want them. We don't even get a floor and a teacher in order to teach them just basic singing. And I think it's very important. And while we're panicking as a culture and a society, which we do sometimes, our job is to remind, and it's a thankless job, is to keep reminding people everywhere. We're not just asking for, you know, we're just not asking to be able to kind of like hold hands and sing arts and craftsy kind of hippy-dippy stuff. It's actually what makes the world go around. And you'll go to a town that has a symphony orchestra, that is a more successful city almost every time. Everything. People are more alive. The arts are more alive. Their infrastructure works better. they're smarter, they're just more educated in general. And it's partially because they have that symbol there of the symphony orchestra, people working in concert together. And that's on the backs of so many people. It takes years and years and years to grow. So that is actually why I advocate for the arts and why I come and support what you do, and how I can thank everyone for the fact that I'm here not just because I learned music, but because I learned how to work with other people, and I learned confidence and all the other symbolism and awesome things that come along with the arts. Bob and I were talking before about something that was kind of cool that happened in my career. I quit my band, my rock band, and I went on a solo career. I launched my album, my first solo album, on September 11th, 2001. That was the release date. So we were in D.C., and I was singing a song on, public radio. And, of course, there was a television monitor over, and we were just escorted outside, and that was it for my record, pretty much. That was, and there's so many, that was way down the list of things to be concerned about that day. But as far as my career goes, I realized that day the record's not going to do anything. Label support for touring was out, which meant my band was probably gone. And a lot of my peers stopped touring during the window after 9/11. And I just decided to keep going. So I went out as a solo artist for the first time, which was scary as hell for me because I wasn't used to not having the comfort of a rock band making a lot of loud noise, and I would just be nakedly singing these songs that I'd written on the piano. An interesting thing happened sometime probably around November as I was on tour. Audiences just started singing along to everything, and I'd never heard audiences sing along like that. But if you remember the mood of the country, you can see the function and the necessity of people to have a place that they could go to and sing together. If you go to Ireland, like you go to a pub in Ireland, some guy sings there. I stand up and start singing a song. Everyone shuts up and listens, and then they sing along, Then they get back to fighting and drinking, But that's part of what they do. Here, we just went through that period where we needed a license to do it. And I think one of the awesome things about having gone through what we've gone through as a country is that we're coming to a place where I meet college kids all the time. I may as well be some kind of college counselor. I never finished college myself, and I've never graduated from playing college audiences. It's basically what I do. They pick me up from the airport, and we talk. And 15 years ago, it was all about, here's my demo tape, I'm going to be famous. Now I'm a music therapist. I'm doing something that is. They're asking themselves what they can do as a musician, what the value of music is for them, and I think they're happier people. Like, I have great faith in where things are going, and I have great faith because I can see how people are viewing music on the ground level, and so I know that will rise to the top. And in order for it to rise to the top, you have to systemically make your case. You have to swim with the sharks, tell them why it's valuable, why you need the money, and just relentlessly keep taking that message out there. And if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't go through the incredible discomfort of putting on one of these suits and standing at a microphone and doing something that I find very scary. So all I want to do is thank you. I shared my story. Thank you for what you do, and let you know that it does make a difference, and we know it, those of us who lived through that golden little period where we might become millionaires as musicians, know why we got where we got, know why it makes people happy, and most of all, know why it makes the world go round, and why you can't win as a human being without the arts as a symbol, a motivator, and a structure within to live. So back to the little 9/11 story I was telling you. One of the incredible things I found is that my audience started spontaneously singing a 3-part harmony in one random song that I wrote. The song is so weird and random that I kind of hate playing it for you, but it is a structure within to show you what happened and how cool that is. To be playing for 1,000, 2,000 people And one day, and this happened in Illinois, and I heard this loud, like, tabernacle, awesome sound of 3-part harmony coming up without saying a thing. Now I sort of tell people what their notes are to make sure that they know, and they do anyway, but just let them know what it is. I play the random song, which is called Not the Same. It was originally intended just as a simple example of how anything that you do at that moment reinvents who you are. It's a little bit of an existential, pop song, like you are who you are at that moment. And I decided to focus on the song on a very random character that I heard a story about when I was in college, who took acid at a party, and at the party he climbed up a tree, and he stayed there all night on his acid thing. I've never done that before, tree climbing or acid, either one. And as he was up there, I guess something happened, because he came down the next morning after everyone left the party, and he was a born-again Christian, and he also became a preacher. And so 30 years later, that's what he does. He's a preacher. And so the song is about him. So never mind the words to the song. They don't, it's not like, a support the art song. It's just, I don't have one of those. What I'll do is I'll show you, in case you don't know it, I'll show you the harmony, see how you get along with that. I know it's streaming over YouTube, and I know how fun it is to watch someone ask people to sing on the internet, and the mics aren't in the audience, and it sounds like no one did anything. So I'm terribly self-conscious about that. So that's a disclaimer. I'll now do what I do a little bit better than talking, and go to the piano, show you your part, and then I'll hush. So here we go. I also wanted to say that, my piano concerto was mentioned. It's incredible in 2014 that I was asked and commissioned in the city of Nashville to write a kind of piece that you wouldn't think that kids would be listening to. They commissioned me to write a piano concerto in 2014 to play for rock and roll audiences. And that's on the backs of so many people. And in Nashville, Tennessee, we sold out the Skirmerhorn 3 nights in a row. That sends a message to my fellow artists that they don't have to dumb down what they do, and is a huge thing for me. So I just want to thank Nashville for being so damn cool. Okay, now you can be as nervous as I. Your parts go like this. It's very simple. It's 3-part harmony. The people with the lowest voices do this part. They go, ah. Give that a shot. 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Hold the fort down. You're the root. Got to be loud. People with slightly higher voices will take the minor third. It goes, both parts together now. Awesome. People with the highest voices take the 5th. All 3 parts together. Perfect. We wouldn't have to do the song, but I may as well. And I'll point to you when you know it's your time, and then people in YouTube world will you should know it sounds amazing. Actually, can you do it one more time for me? I'll point the mic and they can turn up the feed or something, because I want them to hear you. I want to hear my lame self. Okay, 2, 3, 4. Hear that, America? All right. You took a trip and climbed a tree. Robert Sledge's party, and there you stayed till morning came. We can write a movie score together. Hang on, check this out. Closer. Thanks. That really sounded amazing up here. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for what you do. It means a whole lot. Thank you, thank you.
I told you I could.
I know.
So I just want to keep doing that. I mean, really. Okay, I'm ready. But we are going to just have a few bits of conversation. But first of all, spectacular round of applause for that. And a round, we don't have to do it right now, but a personal round of applause
We'll
for you.
applaud them.
You guys were incredible. That was great. One of the things that I wanted to just chat about for a second is continue what you started with, that conversation about healing and the healing power of the arts and that 9/11 experience that you had. Our team, our staff, had a unique 9/11 experience because our office in Washington looks out across the White House at the side of the Pentagon. And we were all there and saw what happened. And evacuated eventually. But one of the things that struck me the next day, all of us were watching the news. The next day, the United States Congress came back together. They came back, they had to flee because the Capitol itself was under attack. And they came back and they were on the steps of the Capitol. And one after another got up and said a few words, as you would expect that they would do. And then they started to break up, but they all of a sudden organically came back together, unrehearsed, and sang.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
And so that's the same phenomenon in a way. And I thought, I'm curious that is that art therapy? Is what happened that night art therapy? And what do you think about all of us should be thinking about connected to the power of art therapy and art healing?
Well, I think it is therapy, it is therapeutic, but it's even deeper than that. I think it's who we are. I mean, I'm a big fan of Civilization, and it's, not everybody is, but Civilization is working together, and, as a music therapist would know, especially one that are in more of the neurosciences side of it, how all-encompassing music is on the brain. I mean, it's in every region, and that's why that's why when Gabby Giffords was shot and had the aphasia of the Broca's area where she couldn't speak, that's why the most effective therapy she got was music therapy, because in order to reroute those neuropaths, that's what it was. And I think that even beyond therapy, it's how we roll. I mean, it is how we get things done, is by communicating and by community and by being together. And so when you see people in times like we were talking about, and you don't have to encourage it. They just start singing together. It's incredible, but it tells you who you are even more than it's a tool.
One of the things, just as an observation, last year at the conference on one of our panels, we had the music therapist who treated Gabby Giffords.
Yeah.
And she talked about the process. And what's interesting, what struck me was what she did with music therapy was the simplest part of music. It wasn't anything really fancy or big. It was just tone and participation, and hugely effective. And this is also what I've seen over at Walter Reed Medical with wounded military, and how the music therapy program there is one of the most effective. Any thoughts on how we might expand the role, whether it's with the military or with our hospitals or in our communities, of using music in that healing way, or the arts in general in that healing way? How do we do it better and more?
Well, I think it's a cultural shift that's happening that needs to continue to be encouraged and happen. That sometimes the solutions are not as kind of complicated and involved as you might think. I mean, how crazy is it that you could have given Gabby Giffords all the drugs in the world, given her all the different other kinds of treatments that you could find, and the one that made the most sense is just reminding her who she was from when she was younger and getting those. I mean, to me, one of the greatest things that's happening is that 10 years ago, a college kid would not have picked me up at the airport to go play their college and said, hey, I'm a music therapist. And I think encouraging the atmosphere that is not only helpful, but it's extremely cool as an individual to do, to keep recruiting more and more of these young musicians to do that. It's one of the things I do on the road, is to say, hey, I'm a rock musician. I know it's supposed to be cool, but I actually think the coolest thing you could do is help other people with music. I think that framework, and to continue to get that word out there and hold your line and be confident about that message, is going to do as much as anything.
So on that same line, getting the word out there, there's another group that we want to get the word out to about the power and the value of the arts, all of us here. And that is, we ourselves, in our office, we refer to you and what you do as being a citizen artist, a citizen activist, citizen artist, as an artist advocate. And you and I have had some wonderful experiences on Capitol Hill and in other locations. Is that what you call yourself? And can you describe what that kind of person is, a citizen activist or citizen artist?
Well, for me, it's just about, very personally for me, it's about having the courage to just take music outside of the professional realm. So I don't know about other people, but for me, it's like, I grew up, it wasn't that cool to kind of sit around doing kumbaya, you felt kind of goofy. And I think just holding the line for me is what it means. It's about standing up and saying, I let my ego subside and say, I would not be here without a community, and the community wouldn't be a community if they weren't artistic beings at their core. Is just to get the message out there. I'll do anything, I volunteer myself all the time, so those of you who can figure out how to get in touch with me, my manager's over there, I do things, I tour all the time. So I'm happy to come through and talk to kids. I'm happy to go through and do little master classes or pick up a shovel or whatever. That's what it means to me. And I find it the most rewarding work that I do. In terms of time, it takes, this last 2 weeks, more than half my time professionally has been given to events like these. I talked to some kids in Kansas City a few days ago. I can't remember all the things I've done just because I felt I needed to do them. So that's what it means to me.
When I grew up, seeing Kumbaya was very cool.
Yeah, see, that's a different generation. That's what made it uncool for mine.
Yes, that's true.
That's the way it works.
I know it.
That's gotten cool again, so you're actually much more in with the kids.
Yeah.
It's your time, not mine.
So how many people want him to come to your town?
I thought you were going to say, Kumbaya.
Oh, yeah, but we'd have to form a big circle in order to do that. So one of the things, recruiting more people, more citizen artists, activists is something, I'd love any thoughts or tips that you have on that. We do it at the national level. You've come and worked with us at Sundance as we've tried to bring more people together. But something that folks don't here don't necessarily know is that last night you held an event at your studio for us to meet Nashville artists.
Yeah.
And how can we do it better, reaching out and involving artists to help us with the cause? Because when you come to Capitol Hill with us, you were very, very powerful. They expect to hear things from me in a certain way. You say it in a different way.
Yeah.
It's a powerful combination.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we all have our sort of, I don't know, our superpower. I mean, we all can't say it the same way. It's just about being honest about what it is. And I think just having courage to continue. If nothing more I can do is just to tell you that what you're doing is so right. It makes such a difference. And that's the main thing. As far as roping other artists in, I mean, I do my best, and when the more that, I don't know, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, the more that you get the message out like you're doing, the more that breaks down the barriers and breaks down the walls. And it's a one person at a time thing sometimes. It's like, I have my studio, so good, I can put the people into place of that. But if I didn't, maybe I'd be doing something else. I don't know. I mean, people do what they can.
One of the things that reminds me of, for what you just did here musically, reminds me of the fact that over the years, when we've brought an artist to Capitol Hill, and I'm thinking of Peter Yarrow, for example, speaking of Kumbaya, but Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul and Mary, he brought his guitar and he performed, but what he did is he offered to have any congressperson who wanted to perform with him bring a guitar, sing, bring a harmonica. They lined up because they want to have that experience that you just had here, which is, I think, another thing that we forget sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a concert in isolation, participation.
Yeah, I mean, I think human beings, when we try to find a solution for something and we don't think it's quite going our way, it's easy to panic. And I think that reminding people of how common sense and how effective arts in general and music is towards healing, building a coalition, keeping civilization intact for those of us who are fans of it, like all those things. It's easy to forget that stuff because we actually go into panic mode. I mean, one example that you see in education over and over again, and this happens to parents and teachers and administrators because we're all human, is like, we got to get these kids' test scores up in science. Like, we got to get those up or we're going to get fired. The kids aren't going to learn what they need to do, whatever your motivation is. So I tell you what, they've had their head in the book 30 minutes. We better stick it in there another 15 minutes and try to make it happen. And we know intuitively that ain't going to work. Mm-hmm. We know intuitively that if we just sat on the floor, sang a little bit, showed the mathematics behind the singing, got them interested in that way, their test scores go right up. I mean, how much data is there to support that? And I think when we're in panic mode, those of us who aren't panicking, who see it clearly and know what the right answer is, to me, it's just a matter of holding our ground, being honest, not being ashamed at all of being someone who is asking for funding, for instance. And that number, you must see it growing. I mean, it feels to me like it's growing. So I think it's on track.
One thing, when we went to advocate together, on Arts Advocacy Day a few years ago, you were part of a coalition.
Yeah.
And that coalition included an artist, Clay Walker, who is another great Nashville artist, but he's on the other side of the political spectrum. And I'm wondering, did you learn anything from that? What was it like teaming up with Clay and other artists in that coalition?
He was a secret weapon, because we go into you don't know what the personal, because we're all humans, you don't know what the personal, what the person is like behind the door of a congressman or a senator. And sometimes I would go in and start talking, and I would just see them just glaze over because they weren't my demographic. But then Clay would start talking, and like, boom, I listened to everything he said. He stated it in plain English. He didn't try to he was incredibly effective. I can think of two cases where I started talking and realized that it wasn't my room. It was a tough room. And one of them, when the space shuttle flew by, it's like, where they're talking about how little money there is to fund arts and how we spend too much and stuff like that. And right as I said that, we saw the space shuttle, the retired space shuttle coming by, and I was like, that thing is spitting more fumes across town, like with more money that you get. I love it, but I mean, obviously, if we can, yeah, we can fund some arts, you know. But see, just with whatever lead content hit the ground that day, just pick up the lead and sell it. And Clay went in and did his thing, and that made me realize, man, you know, if we'd had 4 or 5 other people, maybe we needed an R&B singer with us as well, and maybe a classical musician, like, because and we all can't be effective. Sometimes you're just going to talk to the wall, and then someone else comes through and just, he'd say, well, the way I see it, Senator, and he'd start talking like, yeah, I love your music, and I just sat back and let him get the job done.
You know, that reminds me, I have that, and many of us here have that wonderful experience on Arts Advocacy Day nationally or in state houses or locally of getting to walk the halls of Congress with just such a mix of people. So I remember, you know, 2 years ago it was Yo-Yo Ma and Matt Sorum, drummer for Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And when this happens, what's great is that you walk around a corner and there's Yo-Yo Ma and there's Matt Sorum, and a group of people will say, Matt Sorum, unbelievable. And they won't have any idea who Yo-Yo is. Right. And then you walk around another corner and it's Yo-Yo Ma, unbelievable. And you know, Matt's just standing there. And they were both incredibly amused by that.
Yeah.
And thought it was fun. But it goes to your point about different niches, different things that appeal, different, you know, whether it's a political spectrum or an art form or whatever,
yeah,
that make a difference in this advocacy.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got their language. Music is absolutely a language, and we don't all speak the same exact one. So, God, no one knows that better than a performer that, like myself, who's spent plenty of time playing for people who are like, it's not their thing, you know. And so it will be the next person's thing. But what we all have in common is that we want to keep it together, and we want our children to inherit something that was at least as good as what we experienced. And now my kids are 15 years old. I'm more thinking ahead to, you know, my grandchildren having some kind of shot at having the same sort of experience that I did, or even better.
You know, I've noticed a few people occasionally nodding off when I'm speaking as well. So,
It
you know, it happens.
It's, you know, sometimes it can be a tough room sometimes.
A couple more questions.
Yeah, sure.
One is you just talked about kids.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering that as a parent of young kids, what do you think is their experience of arts and culture right now? What are they getting? What should they get? How might that be different?
Well, I think they have incredible access that you and I don't even know how to handle the overload of the access they have to music. They grow up, I mean, you know, we grew up in an era where, you know, if I was going to hear a song, I might be lucky enough to, you know, get $1 eventually and go buy the 45 single and play it or hear it on the radio. Now they can hear anything, and a lot of it's really incredible. I don't stand with the people who say that modern music is waning or has gone anywhere. I think it's absolutely incredible. What I do worry about is that the kids that are coming along now are in danger of having to reinvent a wheel sometime coming up because some of the classical art forms need to be supported culturally. They need to be supported with funding, and people need to actually have the time to park their car and go in and see the higher art forms. They don't have to love it, but if it doesn't exist on that vibration, then the kids can see, I love Kanye West. I think he's brilliant. He makes some real crap sometimes, but most of the time what he does is incredible. Same could have been said of Mozart. Not as much crap coming out of Mozart as Kanye, but it all can't be good, you know? It all can't be good. And now, you know, like because of the internet, everyone hears every little bad note that someone plays, and so it demystifies it, which I think is incredible. But what I worry about, if I have one worry for the kids, it's that they don't have access to what came before that made, when a rap artist samples something, it's a huge symphony orchestra, like, where did that come from? That's so useful to know. And it's a language that took, you know, centuries to come up with. You know, people think the orchestra, for instance, is irrelevant, and kids will tell you that it's irrelevant. They walk out of a movie theater, big blockbuster, you know, $60 million movie, and it was full of symphony orchestra. You know, and I think I would worry that the kids don't carry that with them, and that's one of my main things.
We have time for one more question, and I'm going to ask a question, but the answer can be if there's anything else you want to say.
Right.
And that is, what's the end game that we're going for? You get to go to cities all across the country all the time.
Yeah.
I get to go to a different city every week as well. And, we're advocating, we want something that is called the arts and citizen lives and kids' lives. But what's success? What do we want?
I think success is in the moment when you know that you've communicated honestly something musically, or you've made someone smile, or you've enabled someone else maybe that's better at playing the notes to do that, or when a veteran comes back from serving way too long and just needs some help, and you help that one person. It's a daily thing. If you keep a theater alive in your community, if you put on a play, anything that you do, to me, it has to be about the moment. It has to be about the day, because it's reinvented the next day. And I don't see an end game. I just think we must be evolving as people, and that evolution has to be something that is being communicated, or at least reflected in music. And we don't know what's next. I say just keep doing what you do. Just know that it's appreciated, and that's the end game.
I want to say thank you to you for your art, for your passion, for your persistence, and for being our friend. Thank you.
Thanks for what you do. Thank you.
I'm going to do a couple of housekeeping things.
Okay.
That was fantastic and wonderfully informing, and something that I think, because we have it recorded, we can help use with other artists to get them to think about what we're talking about when we ask them to help. No, yeah, I'm going to cut that part about the crap out, but do that. I want to thank everybody here so much for joining us for this opening keynote session. I want to say congratulations again to our Leadership Award winners, Melissa Ferrucci Shriver, Donna Collins, Jim Clark, Nori Sato, Chris Appleton, and Robert Bush. Yeah. I want to thank Nashville Harmony for getting us off to such a rousing start, and one of the things that was great was Ben went backstage to have a photo taken with them, and it was like Moses parting the Red Sea as he walked in. Everybody wanted to be with him, that respected. And I also want to point out that they were all volunteers. They all took their lunch hours today from their jobs to be here. So that's the kind of passion you're talking about. So we have a great program for all of you for the rest of the day, with many fantastic breakout sessions this afternoon. Don't forget to join us for our opening reception at the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum, which is right here. It's not to be missed. All you have to do is go through the passageway from the Omni lobby, and you're there. And afterwards, starting at 10 o'clock, please join me and local musician Andy May and a few other friends from Nashville right up here on the stage for our annual jam session, which will have some instruments for those of you who want to play, and a bar to lower your inhibitions, and a great time. And so I hope you enjoy the rest of the convention, if it's as great as the kickoff with Ben. And now head out to the center stage and grab some dessert. Thank you all. Thank you, Ben.